You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
The homie.
Comedian Phoebe Robinson. Good morning. Well, more than a comedian.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yes.
She has a
more than that.
podcast.
Yeah.
She's a feminist.
She's a writer.
And she's the only person who represents Cleveland other than Machine Gun Kelly.
That's not you, like LeBron.
Yeah, come on.
He don't really rep it. He just play for him.
DJ
No,
Steph
he
Loss.
reps Cleveland.
Akron.
He reps both.
Charlamagne is still in Cleveland. Did you hear?
He always, every time I do his show on MTV,
He's never even been there.
he's always
He's
trashing
never been
Cleveland. I'm not surprised. Where have you been, travel-wise?
LA. Just
LA.
Hollywood.
Do you do Midwest at all?
Chicago every now and then.
Okay.
Detroit.
All right.
Milwaukee. I love Milwaukee.
Okay. You should just pop on by Cleveland. Rock and Roll
Cleveland
Hall of
is really
Fame.
nice.
And he's in and
Yeah.
out of Chicago. He's not hanging around Chi-Town.
She said the Rock and Roll Hall
Yeah,
of Fame.
TGI Fridays,
They do.
baby. Yeah.
Cleveland has one of their nicest malls.
They
I think
do.
they have
We
a
do.
great, beautiful
Yeah,
mall.
we have a
I
really
always
nice
go to.
mall.
Of course, Angela even know where
Okay.
it's at.
I
Yeah.
definitely know where the mall is, but they do have a great mall.
Yeah,
so.
go to
I love the
Bloomingdale's.
title of your book, by the way.
Thank you.
You Can't Touch My Hair.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, where's the fro? You got rid of the fro already?
Well, I'm doing actually. I'm taping a show for Jill Soloway on Amazon. So I have my hair like this, and then once I'm done taping that in December, I can go
They
back
trying
to the
change
front.
the black woman?
Nah.
It's interesting, though, because I was reading some of the book about hair and how important hair is to us and how much it defines us as women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you had a lot of things to say about that.
Yeah, no, I think growing up, I grew up in Ohio, Cleveland, and I went to like a predominantly white high school. And so I think, because everyone had straight hair there and like none of the girls of color really wore their hair naturally. And then like I came to New York and you go, oh, there are dreadlocks here. People wearing afros. People are like doing whatever they want with their hair. And that really was eye-opening for me where I was like, oh, I don't have to perm my hair. Like there's another way to go.
Did you straighten your hair as a teen?
Yeah, I straightened my hair from my mom. First, she used a hot comb on me. I think when I was like 5
That's
or
a
6.
rite of passage as a black
Yeah,
woman.
right?
If you don't get burned by the hot comb,
Yeah,
you
you
ain't
gotta.
really live.
We were like sitting down watching Living Single, and she would just like straighten my hair with a hot
Living
comb,
Single.
and then
You
yeah.
didn't go to the Dominicans, get a doobie and
No.
She was 5.
Yeah, I was 5.
Oh, 5,
And
okay.
then I started getting my hair professionally permed at like 13, and I did that until I was like 17.
And it's
So-
interesting. She talks about how hair is like on the weekend, your whole Saturday is spent getting your hair done. Like it's not like an in and out process. You're there for the full day. You got to set aside the entire day.
Yeah, so like all my white classmates had weekends and I didn't. So I was just kind of in the salon all day, and my hair was like, my head was burning because I was scratching my scalp and all
Right.
that stuff. But
When the perm
yeah,
gets into it. It's interesting too because like every time I would go to the hairdresser, they would always do this, right? I always try to make my appointment the first appointment of the day, so at least I know I'm not gonna have to wait 3 hours. But then
Yeah.
my hairdresser would always come late anyway.
Yep.
And they would be calling her at home, and she'd be like, "I'm on my way. I'm sorry." And then she would say, "Don't let anybody else do your hair. I'm gonna be there."
Yep.
And I'll end up waiting anyway.
Yeah, or they like book so many people, so they'll start your hair and they'll be like, oh, real quick, I'm gonna go start this other girl.
Right.
And
And
you're
then you're under the dryer for 5 hours waiting for her to
Yeah.
come back.
Let me
to
ask
you.
you a question. What's
Yes.
the difference between a perm and a doobie? Like, what is the difference? I
Oh,
don't know.
gosh.
They all take long. They be in my
A perm
my-
is chemical. A doobie is just you wrap your hair up.
yeah.
Why, but what they all lay down though, don't it? Doesn't it all both lay down?
It's not. There's no chemicals in a doobie.
Yeah.
I don't know. You act like I'm supposed to know. I don't know.
You acting like you want one. You asking like
Yeah.
you can't wait to grow your hair out and get
I
one.
got 3 daughters. I want to know what's going on with their hair.
Jesus
How old
Christ.
are your daughters?
I have a 14-year-old. She turns 15 next month.
Oh,
I have a 3-year-old and then a newborn.
oh, nice! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you
Cool.
see recently they said that it's legal to say that if you have dreads,
Yes.
they can deny you a job?
Yeah, and I had dreads for 5 years in college. I was like, I'm gonna listen to Erykah Badu and I
boy.
grow dreads.
Floetry,
You know what I
Jill
mean?
Scott,
Yes, I
yeah.
love
Black
Floetry.
soap,
Yes. And so I had dreads for like 5 years, and I cut them off, and I was bald for a while. But I definitely,
Bald?
yeah,
Like no hair?
Who broke your heart, boo?
No one broke my
A
heart.
lot of girls,
No.
when they get their hearts broke, they go bald.
No, I was just like, I wanted to feel empowered. I just, graduated college, and I was like, I want to just feel like a strong
Free.
black woman. So I just like was bald, and I really liked it. Have
Why
you
did-
ever dated a woman with a shaved head?
No.
No.
I'm trying to
Absolutely
think,
not. My
Cassie.
wife had She took her hair real low at one point.
Let's talk about that.
She was trying to grow it out natural.
Yes, I do that too. You have to do that.
I hate that.
What? Why do you hate that?
I like the natural. I just don't like the beginning stages of how it looks when they got to grow out. That little struggle fro. I can't
It's not a
stand
It's a baby fro. I had a baby
hate
fro.
it.
I actually saw Charlamagne's wife the other day, and she brought that up. She said, "Remember when I cut my hair?" And what he said to me, he told her,
like I don't like that little
he
struggle
said
fro.
he said, "You need to get a weave and get rid of that struggle fro. I don't like
did
that."
say that.
Is
Yo, not
that's
for
not
nothing.
supportive.
I like when it's
Balance.
grown out and it's big.
Right, but that takes time.
I know, but I ain't got that kind of patience. I just don't like it.
My wife cut her hair. I felt the same way. I just don't like the short hair.
That's
That's
like when
the
dudes first get
conditioning.
dreads. I don't like that either. When you got them little mini dreads, like
T.C. Carson
Why do you
on.
care?
Yeah, you didn't
Stand
like
it.
that?
Why you care about another dude's
I
hair?
didn't-
It looks
man?
stupid. I don't like it. I don't like
Not
it.
dating you.
No,
You have little dreads.
but none of
Yeah.
us like the beginning stages of anything.
Right.
I
I
don't
don't
like
know.
The grow out phase is always a difficult
It's
phase.
awkward.
Because I remember I had my hair straightened, and then I couldn't curl it or anything, so I kind of hated it. And it took a long time to grow it out, but it would be straight on the bottom, and like here it would be really thick and textured.
Yeah.
So it didn't really look that good.
How was your dating life with a baldy?
I didn't date much.
Amber Rose pulled it off, and everyone
Yeah, she
liked
did.
it.
Well, I don't have the body of Amber Rose. That's but yeah, no, I think that was me. I was still trying to find myself. So it wasn't because I didn't have any hair, Char. It's just I wasn't. Can I call you that? Is that cool?
course.
Okay, good. So yeah, I didn't date much.
He likes Charla.
What other
Charlotte.
things? What other
Charlotte.
things do you still have to explain? I feel like this is a manual for white people or something.
It's a manual for everybody, but definitely, for white people who want to be like woke allies, like they learn a lot. You know what I mean? Like want to help the cause. Here's what you can do. So yeah, I talk about like terrible customer service and like feminist issues. Or, like I love football. Like football is my all-time favorite sport. But like the way that a lot of their players treat women. Hey, we gotta like talk about it. So stuff like that I like to talk about.
Can we talk about this concept of being woke? I feel like right now woke is the trendy thing to say you are.
Stay
And I feel
woke.
like all these woke people have talking points.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not even really woke. You're really asleep. You need to get a nap or something.
Yeah.
And like come up with your own train of thought. Like to me, that's what being woke really is.
Yeah, I think it all depends on where it's coming from. Someone like Jesse Williams, he's like studied and he's really smart. He used to be a teacher, so that's
awake.
Yeah, exactly.
He's awake.
He's wide awake. He had like espresso. He is awake. But then there are other people. It's like they're clearly just doing it because it's like going to help with
Hashtag.
Yeah, it's a hashtag or it's going to help with album sales, and that's different. But I think there are a lot of people who are very smart and out there really want to make change.
I see it mostly from people on social media. It's like they literally have these talking points. Like you know exactly what they're going to say. They use the same words. Problematic.
Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah.
I guess they use the same words over and over. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, if it's only on social media, that's where I get like, oh, well, how are you trying to actually use this stuff in real life? You know what I mean? If you just live on social media, you can't just live on social media. You just can't.
Something else you just said bothers me is when people say that if you straighten your hair, if you get a weave, if you color your hair, you're trying to be white.
Yes. Which my hair is very, very delicate, very fine, and it was super destroyed after I permed my hair. So anytime I want to do color, I always just throw like a colored wig on or weave or whatever, just because I don't want to damage my hair. But it doesn't mean that I want to be white. It means I want to.
You want to be Little Kim?
No, but it's like I want to take back black hair for me and have it be something fun, because I think growing up you're kind of like you feel stressed out about your hair all the time, like you don't want it to get wet, like you're always like holding onto a shower cap at all moments, or like running if it's raining outside, you don't want to go swimming. And so for me, I want to make hair fun again, so I like to switch it up and do colors and different big fros, baby fros, ball, dreads, all that stuff. I want to own it and not have it be like something that white people are telling me how I should wear my hair.
White. Yeah, because I always look at hair as an accessory.
Exactly, me too.
And one of my friends, right, when we were younger, we got out of college, and she's an artist. And the reason she got a weave was because her real hair was getting damaged from her having to do her hair all the time, like on the road. Her hair was breaking off. So she said, I ended up just, and she never had a weave before, but she was like, I ended up just having to get a weave because it was just better for me to protect my real hair and keep it, braided under the weave, and then have this weave that I could just do anything to it, color it, use flat iron, curling iron, whatever. And people don't understand that. They think, oh, you got a weave, you're trying to have long, silky Malaysian hair, you're trying to look white. But really, hair is just an access. It's not that deep. I feel like, as far as, I had a weave recently that I loved. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Only thing I don't like is like, the itching part.
Yeah, when
and
it itches,
and the lumps on my head. But,
Yeah. You rock
sacrifice.
with it.
It's big business, though. I was driving to Brooklyn yesterday, and they have weave shops
everywhere.
Like you could go in there and it's like almost like an ATM. I mean, not an ATM, but like a convenience store. You go in there, you ask what you want, you pick number 3, you buy it. I was sitting there like,
And you gotta get a good weave. You can't get no
Yep.
janky looking weave
Yeah.
and have it installed properly.
Yeah.
Now, where
It's-
does weave come from? Is it horse hair?
no, like this is real hair that I got overseas. I also love Vivica Fox.
Where does it come from? Like, what do you
This
mean
is
real
like
hair? From somebody's head?
Yeah.
Oh.
They like grow it out. It's called like virgin hair. So they grow it out and then they dyed it and I ordered it overseas and they shipped it to my
That's
apartment.
somebody's hair that they cut off and sold. So weave.
Why you acting like you don't know this?
I don't.
Nobody in Envy's family has a weave.
Nobody
Yeah.
in my family got a weave.
But
Y'all got good hair? Is that what you're trying to
We got
say?
Indian in our
Your family got good hair?
excuse me, everyone has good hair, no
That's
matter
right.
what your hair is like. It's all good. But yeah, I do like a lot
Say
of
that till you go get them split ends cut. That damaged hair. You go to the hairdresser, my head
No, I
damaged.
really didn't know.
Yeah, but
My
yeah,
mother has short hair, so I didn't know.
yeah, but I do like a lot of TV stuff, and when you do on camera stuff, they like put so much heat, they destroy your hair, and I don't want to go through that, so I always will either do a wig or a weave.
I wish you could have heard the Lena Dunham interview because she was in here having some good conversations about feminism. Because everybody always gets on her case.
Right.
Because she doesn't include black women.
Yeah.
And she actually discussed that and said how she can't be a voice for women of color. She feels like women of color should be the voice for women of color.
Yeah, I don't even know if she has to necessarily be a voice of women of color. I think a lot of people would have appreciated, a person of color in Girls. It's set in Brooklyn, which is a very diverse, one of the most diverse cities in America. So I think.
I mean, Lisa Bonet was on there last year.
I know,
That's Queen Black.
Yeah, she's queen. She's queen
Donald
black.
Glover was her boyfriend on there for
like
a stint.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 episodes. But I think very early on, it was really just shown as like, these are just white people living in Brooklyn. Isn't it crazy? And it's just like.
She talked about that too, though, which
Yeah.
was interesting because she was like, I'm a white Jewish woman, half Jewish, half Christian. Like, all my friends are white. So
Yeah.
it's like she's not even thinking.
So
Right.
loosely based on her life,
Yeah.
she said
Yeah.
she doesn't
Yeah.
really
But
have
if you
black
wrote
friends,
if
right?
you wrote a show, I'm sure it'd probably be the same.
No, mine would be diverse because we interact with other people outside our race more than white people do. So it wouldn't necessarily just be I wouldn't only have black people on my show.
Yeah.
What about Sex in the City, though? Did we have a problem with Sex in the City?
Yeah, I love that show, but it is definitely problematic in a lot of ways. With
I didn't care because we had girlfriends.
I
watched
know,
Girlfriends.
but Girlfriends came out later, which is an amazing show, and I love that show. But I do think Sex and the City, sometimes they got it wrong when it came to their depictions of people of color. But overall, I think it was a really great show about female friendship. So I really try and look to that.
Just playing devil's advocate. All the
Yes.
shows I grew up on watching, I never paid attention to. I just knew it was like different world.
Yeah.
Never cared there was no white people on there.
Yeah.
There was
Martin,
one white
never
girl.
cared there was
yeah,
no white people
yeah,
on
there was
there.
Marissa Tomei. She was on there for the first season.
She
yeah.
was, for the
Yes,
first season.
it was.
Martin never cared there was no white people
I
on there.
never thought about it.
I never thought about
Yeah.
it. It's just entertaining.
And I would say,
Yeah.
even with Girls and with Sex in the City, I didn't look at it like this is my life. I just looked at it like I was watching a show about other people.
Yeah, I just
That
don't
was-
I don't like us begging to be included.
Right. I think it was more like the 90s was such a good time for black TV and black
Mm-hmm.
film. And then the 2000s hit and it was like we went away and it was
Y'all
just.
started rapping.
No, it was just like Friends and Seinfeld and Sex
Right.
and the City. So it was like, whoa, there's all these shows in New York with only white people now. What happened?
Yeah.
So I think that for me, that's where I felt like, well, what's going on here? What happened?
I feel it's
Gotcha.
not representative of what New
Yeah.
York is.
You know what I thought about though with Sex in the City, and it's gonna be strange, but growing up in Queens, nobody lived in Manhattan. The only person who lived in Manhattan was George Jefferson. But there was no black people that
You
could
know what I
afford
hated about
Manhattan.
Sex in the City?
What?
I hated how all of these black girls used to act like they could relate to them rich ass white girls.
But that's how I look
Yo,
at it.
But you
No,
can't.
you couldn't.
You couldn't
I
relate to
relate
them.
to Miranda.
And let's be
You
clear,
know,
Carrie
I'm-
Bradshaw was not rich
Yeah.
necessarily. She was spending she had a tiny apartment.
Yeah.
And
I
she
never
was
watched the
spending
show.
all
All I
her.
know
So what are
is
you
Manolo-
talking
Yeah,
about?
come
All I know
on.
is Manolo, Blahnik,
She was
Tim,
spending
Okay.
all
and
her money
wine.
on shoes.
Exactly.
And
Right.
she didn't really have any other money.
Yeah, so
That
she
sounds pretty
couldn't.
black.
She couldn't buy.
That sounds right. Now I understand
Yeah,
why
she-
y'all
And the
couldn't
only
relate.
reason she got a bigger apartment was because
She married-
She had a fiance.
Yeah.
Well, first she had a fiance who knocked down the wall and bought the one next to
Yeah.
her.
So she married a rich man.
Right.
No, she didn't end up marrying
Yeah,
him, and he
'cause she
wasn't
cheated
rich.
on him.
Yeah, she cheated on him.
Yeah.
So she was like a basketball wife before basketball wives was
There you
popular,
go.
basically what you're telling me. That's what you basically explained, Evelyn
But
Lozada.
But
yeah.
she definitely was buying stuff she couldn't afford.
Exactly, and so it wasn't like she was living in a crazy, awesome apartment. So it was a fantasy, but a little realistic.
And Miranda had to move to Brooklyn.
I know, right? That's very realistic.
What's the Goop stage you're going through? The hell is Goop?
Goop is Gwyneth Paltrow's whole lifestyle thing.
Did she sell that? I read somewhere that
She did?
Oh, I don't
Good
know.
for her.
Let me
but
Google that.
I'm not necessarily Goop. I mean, I joke about that, but I don't have the money to Goop. Basically, Goop is just like, here are like $300 pajamas that I like.
Right.
You should wear them too.
Like ridiculously expensive
Yeah.
stuff the average person can't afford, but she thinks it's regular.
Yeah.
Phoebe getting that money.
No, well, we'll see. Hopefully with the book, I'll get a lot
Yeah.
of money. Right? Right? No.
It's a good, funny book. I enjoyed
Thank
it.
What's an
you.
example of a goop? What have you gooped before?
Goop.
Am I even saying that right?
Yeah, no, that's right.
Okay.
It's a really stupid name. I don't have the money to Goop. Like, I'm in my Zara stage.
Okay.
Where I can, like, buy Zara, like, not even off the sale rack. I can buy, like, full price and feel comfortable about it. Yeah, right?
They got men's Zara now too.
I know. It looks great.
I
I'm
have
like,
Lil Duval wears it.
Okay.
Duval had it
Yeah,
on last
here's
time.
what Gwyneth said. She said that she's trying to separate from that Goop lifestyle brand. She said her dream is that one day no one will remember I had anything to do with it. I
Wait.
guess she wants to separate herself from it. I don't know.
that's crazy. Why would she not want to be involved in that anymore?
I don't know why.
That made her, like, a bunch of money because she wasn't doing movies for a while. She had babies. And then she was just on Instagram posting pictures of Keisha's. Like, that was
she
her.
said,
You know
she
what
said
I mean?
I'd rather smoke crack than eat cheese out of a tin.
Damn.
Yeah, and then she would say stuff. She would say
That's a
stuff
little
like that. Yeah.
And she said I'd rather die than let my kids eat cup of soup.
Really?
Yeah, she was just saying, like, a lot of crazy stuff where it's like, that's what most people eat.
Yeah, and people who say stuff like that never grew up around crackheads.
Yeah.
If you grew up around crackheads
Yeah, you
and
wouldn't
saw the
say
effects
that.
of crack, you would not make that statement.
Never
Yeah.
really struggled.
Yeah, she hasn't struggled. But, you know, that's why she has a website called Goop. You know what I mean? It makes no sense.
Now, you did an interview in NPR, and you mentioned if you want to write a story about slavery, do it, but it has to come from a place that's respecting the past and
Yeah.
respecting the people in it.
Yeah, I think so. In college, we were all working on, like, our senior thesis, and this white girl wrote this slave story, like a slave play, and we all had to read it aloud. Of course, I'm the only black person in the class, and of course, I read the part of the slave.
The slave, of course.
Wow.
Which was like, okay. And it was like, so the slave got a chance to have her freedom, but she turned it down because she fell in love with, like, her slave master's daughter.
Wow.
And so she was like, I'm going to just, like, stay captive. And it was,
hang out here.
yeah, I'm going to just chill here and, like, smash 2 times, like, just scissor
So she
twice
was
a
a slave
week.
and a lesbian?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I get that she was trying to be progressive, but it felt very much like that. If you knew anything about slavery,
That's
you would
crazy.
never write a play like this.
Right.
And then when I kind of was like, hey, I was like, as a black person, I don't think this, like, makes sense. And she's like, it's about love conquering all. And I'm like, girl.
So you did the part?
Yeah, I mean, I had to read it. I had to read it. So I was like, yes, Master Blood. Like,
That's interesting. I'm gonna tell you why that's interesting because you didn't want them to play a lesbian, but it's just as disrespectful to get beat.
No, I don't mind the lesbian
Okay.
part, but I just feel like her being like, oh, well, loving someone means that, like, slavery isn't that bad. It's like,
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
Oh,
You know what
get
I
it.
mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
I love
Harry-
somebody so much,
I
I'll
get
stay
it.
as a slave.
right, like Harriet Tubman was like, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, no
you know
matter,
what I mean?
even if Harriet Tubman had some hoes back on
Right.
the plantation, she was out.
Right.
Right. Now, what do you think of Birth of a Nation coming out? Because you know the whole scandal with Nate Parker,
Yeah.
and I have not seen this. This is the best slave movie I've seen
Really?
since Django. Because if you know the story of Nat Turner, he was not a victim.
Since Django,
Right.
or better
Well,
than
Django was completely fictional.
Right,
Yeah,
that
I'm saying
was,
it's
like,
better
crazy.
than Django because it's not fiction. I love Nat Turner. I've been saying for at least
Yeah.
6 years that's the only slave movie I want to see because he wasn't a victim.
Right. No, I think Nat Turner is very important. I'm glad that his story is being told. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've heard, like, a lot of reviews where it's like the female slave characters aren't really characters. And so that just bothers me when it's just only about black men and, like, their trauma and doesn't recognize the trauma that black women have actually gone
got
Those
through.
black women
raped.
went through some
I
trauma.
know, but
The reason he
like,
killed the
And they were.
I know,
and
but
his,
they're
and
like-
I would
the
say
reason-
this: his
Yeah.
family was very supportive of him as far as his mother, his grandmother. They were kind of like, you know.
reason
but
he flipped
Gabrielle-
out was because his woman. I don't
right,
want to
but
tell the movie,
Gabrielle Union didn't have any lines in it, right? She just only got
No.
raped in the movie. Like, to me, no, but I'm saying to me that
what you're
feels
saying.
like to only have a female character not talk at all and only be traumatized as a motivation for a male character. To me, that feels limiting.
I wonder why that is
You
because
know?
Kerry Washington didn't talk in Django either.
I know, and she talked a little bit, but I was also like, I wish there was more to her character too.
Yeah.
Well, I think also in
Yeah.
the 1800s, maybe the role of women was so different than what it is now. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that also plays a part into it. I'm curious about the movie, but I think all the controversy surrounding it and reading the details of that night with Nathan and his accuser who since passed away, I don't know. It just makes me a little. I don't know if it's worth it to watch the movie. You know what I mean?
That's the difference between black people and white people, right? White people can F up. Robert Downey Jr. did heroin for 11 years. And white people will still clean him up, prop him up, put him up there, and act like that never happened.
Okay, doing
Sometimes
heroin
we
and
have to do
sexually
that.
assaulting a person is totally different.
What's the difference?
Well,
He's
harming
doing-
someone else other than yourself
Yeah,
is a big
like
difference.
And as a
but he
man,
was-
why do y'all just assume that he's not guilty? He got found not guilty in
Well,
the
no,
court
I
of
was
law.
going to
Why
say
can't
he did
why
get found not guilty, but I wouldn't ever compare heroin to sexually
Well, but whatever.
assault.
Why do we have
Exactly.
to be on the side of, he's guilty, he's guilty? If the man got found not guilty,
I think for the most part, society is always on the side of the dude. For the most part,
bull,
do you look at the internet?
you know,
Oh my God.
This story is a prime example of why that's BS.
But she read the transcripts, and the transcripts must have bothered you.
They're
What bothered
tough.
you about the transcript? Not necessarily the him having sex, but him inviting his friends.
No, it's just the way that he talks about it. He was like, this was like a traumatic day for me and like whatever. And it's like, it's all, what about the victim too? Like even
But
if
see,
you,
that's the thing,
no,
you keep
but,
saying words like victim. Like, okay, if the man.
but then also here's the other thing. It was like then him and the guy were like harassing the girl on campus for a really long time. And I think she then attempted suicide because they were harassing her so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then
The school actually had to pay a lawsuit.
yeah, and then
settle-
she
settle for
left
that.
because they were harassing her for a really long time. So it's a lot of like, it's not as simple as like, oh, he's just it was a crazy night.
Well, let's
there
just
was
be
a lot
objective
of
for a minute. Just for a
yes,
second.
sure,
Let's just say hypothetically, since you don't believe it, he is really not guilty.
right,
He did nothing.
right.
He didn't do what she said he did. So
Yeah.
he got accused, got arrested, had to pay bond,
Yeah.
had to go through this trial and everything. That is a traumatic experience for him.
That is
And he would be pissed off at this girl.
right, but I will say that statistically speaking, the amount of false accusations is so low. That rarely ever. It rarely. You can look at the numbers. It
Well,
rarely ever
Charlamagne
happens.
has a particular place in his heart because this did happen to
The
him.
same
He was-
exact thing
But I
happened
will
to me.
say, in his particular case, we don't really know exactly.
Right.
If
I'm not saying
just-
for
No, but
sure.
Right.
I'm
We
just-
don't know
question, because
that.
and that's what I was
we
saying.
know that he was found not guilty of that. So
And nobody respects that.
I do try to separate that from the importance of the Nat Turner story of being told.
I
Yeah.
just want to know,
But
can
I
a
feel
black
like-
man ever be not guilty in America?
Yes, of course.
No,
I'm
we
on
can't.
your side.
Because if it's not the court finding us guilty, it's the court of public opinion still saying we're
But you
guilty.
know, that's what I was saying yesterday, that females might look at this differently because they feel differently because women get sexually assaulted all the time.
course
And a lot
they
of
do.
times it's a different thing. But how do you separate
Right.
him as an actor and a director from a story that needs to be told? You know?
Because,
Same thing.
the
You listen
thing-
to R. Kelly?
No.
But my whole thing is that we just really don't know what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
We have, what he says and what the accuser said, and we really don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it would be awful if he really didn't do what he was accused of. We don't know that.
Yeah.
It's
We don't
different
know
if he
he
would have
did
been
it
like,
either.
yes, I did it.
Right.
And,
But then he would say things like, oh, like consent was like not really a thing you like talked about back in the day. And that sounds super sketchy.
It is, but it's real though, Phoebe.
I understand,
It
but
is.
that's a little sketchy.
I actually want to
say.
do a special for MTV about rape culture
Mm-hmm.
and especially rape culture on college campuses because I think a lot of things that we thought were consent 15 years ago can get your ass locked up today.
Right.
Like remember that movie Kids?
Yes.
And remember at the end of that movie?
I didn't watch it, but
Well, at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
he had sex with the girl and unconscious, and he got AIDS. And I remember watching that and saying, "Oh my God, he got AIDS." But now, 15 years later, however long later, I'm like, "Damn, he raped her."
But
Yeah.
that was
You know,
like you
Yeah,
said,
but at the
yeah.
time,
that was the culture. That was
Yeah.
drunk and have fun.
that's it.
and have sex.
That's it.
But
right.
you really,
but
if
it's
you
like
see-
get
if you-
drunk and then like take advantage of whoever. You know what I mean?
And
That's not
it's not
having
right.
sex.
And that's why
you know
now
what I
we have
mean?
to make sure people know that if somebody is drunk and they can't make a decision
Don't
and they're
touch it.
passed
Don't
out,
touch 'em.
Exactly.
leave.
Don't
And don't
touch
touch
him.
me
And don't
either.
touch my hair.
Right.
Don't touch his bald head.
Don't
Right.
touch his hairline.
Well, Phoebe got to go, guys.
She got to go already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Phoebe's
I'm gonna
been
read
here
this
about
this weekend.
30
Oh,
minutes.
thank you.
Phoebe got to go.
Thank you
You can't
guys
touch
so
my
much.
hair.
I have
Phoebe
one more
Robinson.
question though.
Phoebe's
Oh,
one
let's
of my
do it.
friends.
Do you
Let's do
watch?
it.
Do you watch Donald Glover, Atlanta?
I love that show. I'm 2 weeks behind, but I love it. It's
Now
so
you remember
great.
the part where the guy said the N word around him?
Yeah.
And I know you had a similar experience.
Yeah, I had a white cab driver called another white driver the N-word, and I was so confused. I was like, is this racist? It feels like it's not because it wasn't to a black person, but it felt really weird.
Do you feel compelled to say something? Because I know for Donald Glover, he said this when I interviewed him about the show. He said certain people feel like they can use that word in front of him because, I guess of his whole persona.
Yeah.
And somebody said to him on Twitter, "You're the type of black person that someone could say the N-word, a white person could say N-word around you, and you ain't gonna do nothing."
Yeah, I think that my cab driver, because when he dropped me off, he showed me a picture of his daughter. His daughter's like half black, so he was kind of saying like, "It's cool," and I was like, "No, dog, you can't." And so I wrote a complaint, and then
You wrote a complaint?
Yeah, I was like, "Uber, I'm black, and this white guy said the N-word," and they like refunded me, and they were like, "Oh, thank you so much for letting us know." So I got my money back. That was
I just
nice.
want you to know that you're wrapping up this interview, but it's a white guy out there telling you to wrap it up. You gonna let the white man tell you what to do,
better go.
Phoebe?
Yes, this one time I'm gonna let the white man tell me what to do.
All right, Phoebe. Well, we appreciate
Thank you
joining
guys
us.
so
Go
much.
get this book.
Yes, please get
You
it.
Can't Touch My Hair,
New York
Phoebe
Times
Robinson.
bestsellers list, please. Let's get it on there.
All right, it's the
Okay.
Breakfast Club. It's Phoebe Robinson.
The Breakfast Club. Every weekday morning. Tune in